It is with solemn heart that I do swear that what is shared is fairly balanced as soundly true. I only point from the sum of my lessons learned. Instructions of beyond that have been ingathered to goad and direct to the sacred grounds of whereas above is plainly concealed within the insight of potential's gift that is you and I. To unwrap headship's tale is truly a point of concern, as the revealing of clarity's sacred surroundings can only be realized through the innocent desire of what and who is and how and why it is to be learned. I title this Finding Out. I felt the Spirit say I no longer broadcast with the wide net, as the targeting is now specific. I, as we, are a paradoxical paradigm of our own pointing, as we have either squarely and solemnly encompassed ourselves, finding out that our turning has faced us back to template sacred measure, or we simply find that we are vainly beside ourselves. It is time, as Cain is able to return to the garden by the encompassing journey of forgiving self. Paradise is a self-diagnosed paradigm of beyond, dimensionally defined as masterfully pierced through the whole of spirituality's radiant pieces. By consummation, we join together as a whole the sum, a union of pieces that infills as desire's intention, a positioning that is as being one as an expanded estate, a measure that is well beyond restraint's reach. As Cain, I find out as I am. By being set in the way, I find I am settled as stilled, fixed as fastened. By the weight of my own thrusting, I find I am pierced through equal measure. By right measure, I find I am expanded by pouring out, a uniting that establishes my foundation of balance, a truth of infilling that equals as a weight of dimension. By facing in, I am finding out I am enabled by asking a well thought out question, as my response simply answers back, you are either able to fulfill or not. As Cain, I, as we, are able. By turning, we have found out that our facing has brought us back to template sacred measure, a paradoxical paradigm of our own pointing that has squarely and solemnly encompassed ourselves as being wholly restored. Life to death is a grave issue that we are solely responsible and accountable to and for, as in its building we become its solemn intention. As one, we have given our solemn oath to diagnostically render and return accountability to its holy and rightful position, a magisterial response of within that humbly represents its center's completed peace, that is truly beyond vanity's unbalanced reach. Only as one, with the assistance of one's family, is one able to fulfill the measure of responsibility's weighted call. To rise as the answer is to firmly hold, as to contain, as knowing as being accountability's well-asked question. An ongoing wrestle of who, why, and how that gently and honestly reveals the depth of a desire's current moment. Measures of opportunity that have summoned and formed the long reach of longing's point. Accountability. A balanced action that answers the called out measure with an equal measure of weighted response. By hearing, seeing, and feeling, we apply discernment's level to position ourselves as wisdom's representation. A mantled response of measurable weight that answers back as current moment's equational sum. An incremental form shaped in and by the ingathering of weight's value. Accountability is an honored position that has soundly shown its ability to continually stand in the adjudication of degrees of revealing's burdensome weight. A progression of reward that wholly and silently represents as a witness to the given measure for which it currently stewards and presently stands. Responsibility is the ability to adequately answer the question of accountability. A measure or response that can only be given by the undertaking and balancing the weight of moment's current measure. By first pondering or incrementally step into the well of a thought-out question, as this is where the spirit's deep is able to call out as clarity's current answer. A purposed encounter that potentially gives opportunity to render clear the unruly thought of a vain imagination, fulfilling the void that undermines the authoritative power of accountability's whole and desired intention. I believe what most of us have been feeling as of late is the compounding of subtlety's weight that is leading to the desired depth of love's solemn revealing. The issue of and at hand is graven for knowing why and what is to be dug. As to point out the massive potential of Ark's temple, we are well served by first knowing the depth and cost of footings excavated trench, as a well-dug trench assures the footings accountable for holding and answering for the capstone's weighted resolve. The curse is but inculcative steps, a course of action that grants opportunity for perspective positioning, insight that reveals the degrees of summation's choice through the retrospection of forwards steps. In my journey through the wrestle of confusion's curse, I find I have chosen a course of action that has compassionately rounded and pierced me through its inculcative degrees. A bitter weaving that brings me around and about into the realization that I am and have been a merchant of war following along in my Father's peaceful steps. Measures of preparation that have equipped, fortified, and established me in the revealing of accountability's balanced stand. A purpose destination that has granted me opportunity to be positioned in lineage's line in hopes I would receive family's established title. A mantling of deed that only one can answer for as oneself. In truth, I reverently hope all would abound in and as the representation of inheritance's reward, for it honors our family. Until the time of will's unfolding of hidden no more, I discreetly and discriminately reveal my family's well-trodden nature through the sum of my faculties. The tug of my war that has peacefully rendered clear and surrounded me with the potential of my family's well-kept name that resonates as fierce love. Until fullness's moment is revealed, I continue to intimately knit together the sacred gift of responsibility's offering, inquiry's looming garment of sheer mantling that is formed by the sowing and reaping of Mother's generous lessons. To know the intention is opportunity to fulfill the purpose of intent, a weaving journey that masterfully forms the centered stand of awareness's balanced destination. The reserved place of between that requires us to gently empty out the ingathered torrent of confusion's compression. The generous outpouring that sovereignly unwinds the wound of servanthood's lowered head. From the dethronement, I as we have been dismantled as dismayed, surrendering the way of magic's mystical power of beyond for the opportunity to experience its innocent homecoming. In returning, I as we clearly recite confusion's chaotic deposition with the clarity of pure heart and sound mind. As one on our solemn sojourn, we find we are peacefully received as a beneficiary of war's wages. As vision has teleologically been fulfilled, as we have victoriously found ourselves peacefully reminded as valor's mantled warrior, a standing position that reverently is able to recall and recite as upon receiving the honored seat of family's courageous, wholehearted reward. Memakun, the water stands. From the well of an abundant heart, the wind and the wave unite to speak as one flowing spout. From between the vision for expanse, we cast off as arising through center stand. As circumstances unveil the whole measure, I find I am round about spherical in shape, a radiant reward that clearly points out that my surroundings have informed my circular outline. The weaving of the wave's height is the water offering its obedience to form the roll of the wind's breath over the sea. As I wave, I offer myself to the way of the wind in hopes of becoming transparency's embodied form that truly dwells in the unwinding of me. I am but a breath, a vapor, a mist, a cloud set in motion by the direction of wind's width. I am a body of water, a torrent, a flood that is fiercely emboldened as the depths of family's frequency deeply resides within the well of me. I am an ancient vessel established on the way of return. From what I gather, I am innocently formed by being roundabout a weaver of what the pattern has revealed. In and out is how I do flow. Focusing on the pillar's power is as being resolved between the lofty hem that masters over the collar of low. By the twisting and turning I unwind the wound of spirit body's soul, as I am the winding wind that draws in to combine as one standing as wound into one. As this, I as we are bound as one being abundantly risen, as an offering to the weaving wave. Stitch by stitch I seemingly lace, fulfilling scale's pattern by simply stretching out journey's curse that we have defined as sinful. But in truth, it is but closing the distance that opens the mouth and rewards abounding grace. To flow as in flight is to clearly distill the discomfort of confusing thought, a stand that is settled and seated by knowing a pure upright heart peacefully and innocently renders clear all that which is sought.